Mock Draft Thursday. Pro Football Network has Will Levis being replaced by Carson Beck. We're going to talk about this pick and all the other 31 coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. I got to kick this intro to Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at TheTalentCode. Can you talk to him, baby?
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ, man, and the other side to this dynamic duo that we like to call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to start this podcast off by saying shout out to my everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. We are in the thick of it, man, and we are switching it up. We usually have mock draft Mondays. We are going with a mock draft Thursday, yes, to kind of end the week off, man. We had, 4th of July, so we're going mock draft Thursday. Get the fireworks going, man. We have the Tennessee Titans replacing Will Levis and DP. My reaction to that is, well, that was fast, right? Tampa Bay drafts Mike Evans 2.0. Who could that be? We're going to talk about it on the podcast. And then the Eagles add even more wide receiver help. So maybe they have a big three now at the wide receiver position. But DP, before we get started breaking down this mock draft, man, why don't you hit them with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, guys, you know how we do it. Picks 1 through 10 with the first overall pick. The Carolina Panthers select James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. With the second pick, the Tennessee Titans select Carson Beck, quarterback out of Georgia. With the third pick, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU. With the fourth pick, the Denver Broncos select Luther Burton III, wide receiver from Missouri. With the fifth pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jalen Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama. With the sixth pick, the New York Giants select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. With the seventh pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. With the eighth pick, the Washington Commanders select Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. With the ninth pick, the New Orleans Saints select Nick Skyroton, edge rusher from Texas A&M. And with the 10th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Deion Walker, defensive tackle out of Kentucky. And let's go back up to number 2, and then we're going to work our way down to 5 and 6. But number 2, Keith, you said it, that was quick. That was fast.
That was fast.
To replace Will Levis. And I'm going to say this. I don't think this is far-fetched. And the reason why, the coaching staff is new. This is not their guy, right? That's typically how that works. Like, you got a chance to impress us and show us that you should be the guy. If you don't do that, we'll go get our guy. And what the Tennessee Titans did, drafting J.C. Latham, bringing in Bill Callahan and Brian Callahan. Bill Callahan, been in the league 20 plus years, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, to work with this group and get the best 5 out there, but get these guys ready to go. I like what they've done there, getting Calvin Ridley, bringing in Tyler Boyd, right? Adding Tony Pollard to the backfield with Tajay Spears. When you look at this team, and you still got Treylon Burks, who's kind of an X factor, waiting in the wings type of guy for this receiver core with DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, got Chigo Okonkwo at tight end. Ryan Tannehill is probably a little jealous right now. He's like, man, all I had was A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. I didn't have all this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the Tennessee Titans, to me, did what they needed to do to take the onus off themselves, take that pressure off themselves, because if Will Levis doesn't succeed in 2024, you know who we can't blame? Well, let me preface this. If the offensive line does not become a leaky faucet, right, and have cracks all in it, if the offensive line can keep him protected and everything, if he doesn't succeed, and it's not on the team, that gives you more reason to move forward and move on from him. And I don't even think he's a great fit for this Cincinnati Bengals, Callahan, timing and rhythm passing offense anyway.
Yeah, and the part that I want to hit on with the coach and player fit, DP, is he just comes from the head coach, just comes from working with Joe Burrow, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's safe to say that Joe Burrow and Will Levis, stylistically, the way they approach the game is kind of different, right? Outside of holding on to the football and trying to make a play, they approach the game totally different. Joe has no problem with just going five wide and pick you apart, right? And it can be a 12-play drive because he's picking up 4 or 5 first downs, right? Along the way, just nickel and diming you. Will Levis is a guy that he's a little patient. He's gonna want that chunk play, right? Like you're gonna have to dial it up for him. So I
Yeah.
think that it's going to be interesting. While I believe that Will Levis can be successful in the NFL, and I believe that his head coach could be a good head coach. You just now have to see if the pairing matches, right? I think that's more so a big situation. But DP, can we keep going? I think to picks 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders trying to get their guy, right? Because this year they didn't address the quarterback position how we wanted to. I think they have Gardner. They signed Gardner Minshew, as a QB veteran and everything. But now they go get their guy, and I wonder, just turning the page, right? Because you have to start to build an identity for me to feel comfortable with you drafting Jalen Milroe top 5, right? And is that run game? Who is your OC? I know what OC is, but what is his philosophy with using Jalen Milroe, a dual threat almost type quarterback, right? And we talked about it on our comparisons podcast, DP, how you have to get his legs involved. It's the Jalen Hurts situation. So is somebody going to be patient, and are they going to be willing to flip their entire playbook to fit around Jalen Milroe?
Absolutely. And I think, and some Raider fans, listen, Keith, I don't know how much you ventured into Raiders Twitter. There's a group of them who absolutely love Aiden O'Connell. And I get it, right? Like he's got all the different cliches. He's moxie, he's tough, he's gritty, all those things. I remember watching them at Purdue. And I was like, man, like this kid's got some stuff to him. Now, is he physically limited? 100%. Is he physically capped? Yes, but I think it's just a simple fact of the matter is like you need to look at the situation now. If you're not drafting top 5, if you're drafting top 5, that means your quarterbacks did not get the job done. And if your quarterbacks didn't get the job done, you got to upgrade. But Keith, I want to go to the pick 6. And I want to take it back to earlier this week. On I think it was HBO Max or whatever. Hard Knocks with the Giants, and the conversation between the GM Joe Shane and his staff, and they were talking about, hey, so you want to let Saquon go? One of the player personnel people said, well, what's our identity? Because letting Saquon walk means we're losing touchdowns, explosive plays, playmaking, all these different things. And he said, well, we're not paying Daniel Jones $40 million to hand the ball off to a $12 million running back. First of all, you should have never paid Daniel Jones $40 million. That's where you went wrong to start it off. So, but this right here, to me,
I wish there had to be, DP, in that moment. One of those scouts have to feel how we feel, right? And was thinking that, but understood, if I say this, there's a chance I might get fired, right? But you just wish that everybody was a clear playing field to where like everybody can just say whatever they want to. Because I'm more than sure there was somebody response like, shouldn't have paid Daniel Jones.
Well, one of the guys, the guy who initially asked the questions, he did say that, hey, well, if Daniel Jones is our quarterback, part of our identity is running the ball for him and stuff like that. I was like, he's got a good point. So if this conversation is going on during free agency about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, if you're drafting 6 overall, you're absolutely taking a quarterback. And I love putting Shedeur Sanders there because for me, man, thinking about Shedeur Sanders throwing to Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors and Shedeur Sanders combo, that could be an explosive situation in the passing game because he's going to bring a level of accuracy and ball placement that Daniel Jones has never really shown. And for me, I think mentally, Shedeur Sanders is going to be able to fit into the New York city and media market a lot better than Daniel Jones going from Duke and never having cameras in his face.
Yeah, I agree 100%. DP, let's keep this thing going, man. 1 through 10 had a couple fireworks. I expect things to increasingly get wilder and wilder with this mock draft right here. So coming up next, man, we're going to have picks 11 through 20.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Guys, it's summertime, and as a dad, it's always fun and sometimes hard to find activities for the kiddos, to give them something to wear them down, but make it a great experience. Taking them to your favorite ballpark in your city, in your state, is always a great idea. So go catch a game and let Game Time help you. All you need to do is to take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. With the 11th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Tatora McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. With the 12th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. With the 13th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. With the 14th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. With the 15th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado. With the 16th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Mykel Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. With the 17th pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Jonah Savani, offensive tackle from Arizona. With the 18th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Quinshawn Judkins, running back from Ohio State. With the 19th pick, the Chicago Bears select Princely Umame-Melon, edge rusher out of Ole Miss. Those O's be messing me up. Out of Ole Miss. And with the 20th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Takario Davis, cornerback out of Arizona. Let's see, a couple interesting fits here to really look at. But let's
talk Travis Hunter to the Jaguars. Let's talk about that.
I like that a lot.
I was going to ask you, how do you? Because you have both. Yeah. DP. You have Travis Hunter in your college region as far as players, and you have the Jacksonville Jaguars for your NFL. How do you like that fit? Like, what does that go? Because I think he's at pick 15 first of all. So do you think he'll fall that far? And then how do you like him meshing with this team?
Of course, when you see multiple quarterbacks, anytime you see multiple quarterbacks in the top 5, somebody good is getting pushed down the board, and I could see that happening just because of just not so much positional value, but understand the teams are going to reach for specific positions. And you got the Panthers going edge and different stuff like that. So I could see him slipping down. If it were to be like that, he still would be. He's my second highest graded prospect at corner, or just period. Along with Will Johnson. Will Johnson's number 1. But I think this is a good fit for Jacksonville, man. With this defensive line and edge rush, and this pass rush getting there, with the emergence of Trayvon Walker in 2023, Josh Allen, not Buffalo, but Jacksonville's Josh Allen is a really good edge rusher. And then they added one of our guys that we think he has a high ceiling out of LSU, Mason Smith, and then they got Jordan. I think it was Jordan Jefferson.
Yep.
So they went ahead and doubled down on the interior, saying, you know what? Let's go ahead and create one-on-one matchups. And if teams say we're going to slide protection to Josh Allen, that's fine, because I'm going to trust Mason. I'm going to trust Jordan. And I'm definitely going to trust Trayvon to get in that backfield, knife in between this offensive line and get back there. And if you speed these quarterbacks up and they start making ill-advised throws under pressure, Travis Hunter, the receiver, Travis Hunter, the corner, turns into Travis Hunter, the receiver, and he's able to make plays on the ball. And then, of course, being that receiver, the speed, the elusiveness in open field, he can create missed tackles. And all it takes is a couple offensive linemen to fall on their face, and now you're running down the sideline for a pick 6. So I think he absolutely would be a really good fit in that Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, because over the years they've swung and they've just missed, right, with this position. I'm not completely sure how Tyson Campbell has played or is playing.
He's been solid when he's healthy. He's been pretty solid when he's healthy.
Okay, then I remember what that was years ago. That was the Joe Burrow tour draft. They went corner from Florida. They drafted a corner, Henderson, I think.
Yes.
And that went fair. That was a fairly quick process also. And I believe they drafted another corner. I'm blanking on somebody, but they definitely drafted another corner in the past 10 years high, and they just haven't hit on it like they want to. DP, you look at the rest of this draft, are there other situations that pop out to you?
Oh, got to, right? We talked about it, when you were kind of introing the segments. Tampa Bay having Mike Evans and saying, let's go get Mike Evans 2.0. Let's go get to Torrey McMillan and have him learn from the original Mike Evans. I think this is just, you talk about stock up for Baker Mayfield. You drafted with Jalen McMillan in round 3 of the 2024 NFL draft. You got Trey Palmer and his game-breaking speed last year, right? What does that signal to me, Keith? That the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are preparing themselves for a youth takeover to then usher, once it's time to usher out Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. If this was to happen, you now have 3 young receivers that can step into that 1, 2, and wide receiver 3 spot and fill it admirably. And for Baker Mayfield for him to walk into 2020, this will be going into 2025 season, right? Mike Evans is still at the X. Chris Godwin's at the slot. And now you got Torrey McMillan at the Z. Yeah, that's a problem. You know what I mean? You got 2 big body guys, and then you got a power slot who can run routes, but he's really physical and everything. I'll be honest with you, Chris Godwin, to me, is what Deebo Samuel would have been if he played full-time receiver and just was able to develop as a route runner, because he does the same thing. Physical, contact, balance, all of it.
No, and it's interesting how that goes, DP. And I think we've talked about, Deebo Samuel production or whatever, and how it's been, he had almost like one great year, and then a lot of them were average. But just because of the name and where he's at, I don't think Chris Godwin gets the same type of respect, but he's been the more consistently high-level player, whether he takes handoffs or not, right? He's a raw receiver, and he's very productive on the field. So I agree with you, DP, overall. I really like that selection with T-Mac going there. Seattle Seahawks, DP, sitting at pick 12, going to get Abdul Carter. That would be fun, right? Like, if this guy's every bit of what you think of Seattle, you think of Abdul Carter, you think of Michael Parsons, right? Roaming around the Seattle Seahawks defensive front. That gets me excited. I'm excited to see that. I think that's good because they, like we said, they've had good defensive linemen with the Bennett's, the Cliff Avrils, right? What's my guy that was the undersized pass rusher that came out of Bruce Irvin, right? I think he had a flash year or 2 in there, and then they've had good linebacker play, right? They got KJ Wright here and there. They got Bobby Wagner, the Hall of Fame, but this guy is almost he's the best way of I don't say a tweener. He's a versatile front 7 defender, and you pair him up with the young guys there. You locked and loaded with the Seattle Seahawks defensive front.
100%, right? Seattle's, you got Boyd Mafe, you brought in for Leonard Williams, I think, from the Giants. And
Leonard Williams, and then you drafted
Derek
Byron Murphy. You drafted Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy, yeah. Oh man, like 100%, right? Like you look at this situation, and if you are Mike McDonald, a defensive-minded head coach, what you're hoping for, if this is your pick in next April, and you get Abdul Carter for one, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be drafting top 15. But if that happens and you draft Abdul Carter, you're hoping that he's Michael Parsons 2.0, right? Like, it's a copycat league. He did the exact same thing Michael Parsons did. He played off-ball backer, but we never saw Micah take full-time edge snaps in college. But his pass rush and blitzing snaps, you saw that edge backer. The things he does on Sundays, he was doing that just from a linebacker position, lining up on the center, swim moving and long arming and spinning, and the same things he destroys left and right tackles with on Sundays. He was doing that to interior offensive linemen in college. So it's like you're hoping if you're Mike McDonald that, man, if we get Abdul Carter, could this be the second coming of Micah Parsons? And if so, you just hit a home run, baby. You just knocked that bad boy out of the park. And I think that would be a really, really good fit for them to add him to Boyd Mafe. And then real quick, I got to talk about the fact that I love these 2 picks, Keith. The Colts getting Benjamin Morrison, adding him to Juju Brents. This guy is, and it's a little different because he's not the pure cover 3 corner that Gus Bradley likes. He's a versatile guy. He can play zone, but he's really good in man. He's that soft shoe, soft press type of corner. You think about the Denzel Wards and stuff. I don't think he's that type of athlete in terms of like straight line speed and change of direction. And like Denzel's I think he's just a different type of mover. But this young man is smooth, fluid, intelligent, and everything. You think about how Roger McCreary played, but he played more so on the slot, and Benjamin's bigger. And then for Pittsburgh, who already have Minkah Fitzpatrick, to then add Malachi Starks to that safety room, man, I love that. I love that fit to have 2 ball hawks, 2 guys that could take the ball away. And if you want to play too high, now you can rotate. You can rotate down. Both of these guys can play kind of the cover and cover 3 robber technique. They could do different things, and that allowed Mike Tomlin, that defensive staff, to get really creative with their secondary looks.
Yep, no, I agree 100%. DP, we on to my favorite part of a mock draft, man, and that is picks 21 through 32. That's the playoff teams. That's where, you start to get some of these reaches, and I could be kind of critical of the process, right? So coming up next, man, we have picks 21 through 32 of this 2025 NFL mock draft.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. With the 21st pick, the Miami Dolphins select Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. With the 22nd pick, the Green Bay Packers select Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. With the 23rd pick, the New York Jets select Kevin Winston Jr., safety from Penn State. With the 24th pick, the Houston Texans select Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker from LSU. With the 25th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Ollie Gordon II, running back out of Oklahoma State. With the 26th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State. With the 27th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. With the 28th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Denzel Burke, cornerback out of Ohio State. With the 29th pick, the Detroit Lions select Evan Stewart, wide receiver from Oregon. With the 30th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Emory Jones Jr., offensive tackle from LSU. With the 31st pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Barrett Carter, linebacker from Clemson. And with the 32nd pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo. Oh, man, I got to go here to, where was that stretch? It was, I think, up top, right? No, I scrolled down a little bit. It was the Cincinnati Bengals, yes, 26 and 27. Philadelphia Eagles adding Emeka Egbuka to the slot to be that permanent slot receiver, flanking on the inside of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And truly, him and Devonta Smith can be interchangeable. Use both of them as movement Z's, pre-snap motion guys, things of that nature. I love this fit. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to give and make sure that your highly paid quarterback, that is Jalen Hurts, has all the weapons he needs. And with Dallas Goedert being that guy's going to be able to control the middle of the field, catch those short to intermediate passes, up the seams, things of that nature. Emeka Egbuka could be the consistent first down maker. And then you're going to get big plays from Smitty on the outside and A.J. Brown either on the outside or working the inside playing. But Keith, 27. Not we, because I'm not on the team. If you're in the AFC North, you do not allow this to happen. Colston Loveland is my highest graded tight end, and you guys heard me on the scout notebook. Just glow over this young man's skill set: 6'5", 245, 250. Great athlete, pass catching ability, route running. He has the total package, and the one position that Bengals have never been able to figure out: tight end. So you tell me you give Joe Burrow, the point guard that he is, this big post player that's an athletic rim runner, and you have Jamar Chase and Andre Yoshevas and Charlie Jones and Jermaine Burton. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to keep Joe cool from heating up in the playoffs if you make this pick.
Yeah, no, I have to get eyes on Colston Loveland. My question would be for you, DP. Is this too low for Colston? Like, is there, like, you think this how low he'll go, or you think he'll go higher? Because I asked you in comparison to Brock Bowers, and Brock was a top 15 pick, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I know you said you liked Loveland either equally or more, one of the two.
Yeah.
And looking at Loveland going at pick 27, where he's drafted, is there a position where you'd be critical about that because you say, hey, this is way too low for his, I guess, who he is as a prospect?
100%. I think this is one of those picks, Keith, where we fast forward to January and the Bengals are in the AFC Championship game, and Colston Loveland has 100-something yards and 2 touchdowns, and they're making their way to the Super Bowl. We're like, how did Colston Loveland fall to the Cincinnati? Well, you guys overthought it. That's how you got there. Because I'm like, as much as I just praised Benjamin Morrison being a player for the Colts, you know what the Colts still need, Keith? A tight end. I don't know if Jelani Woods is going to ever take that true step and stay healthy from the hamstrings and be the guy that they want him to be at 6'6", 6'7", 250, and a 4'4", 4'5" athlete. If he could, great. But if he's not, you got to go after Colston, because remember, they were tied for a good bit of the draft process this past draft. to Brock Bowers because they still have a need at tight end. So, yes, there's a couple teams that I'm looking at and say, listen, man, I would probably X out that pick you made and draft Colston Loveland because he's going to help your run game because he's a good run blocker, but he's absolutely going to elevate your passing game because this is the type of guy that can dominate the middle of the field, and he plays out wide in the slot. He moves everywhere. Whenever you want to place him in that offensive set. Yeah, I don't think he should go this low, but if he fell this far, God bless Cincinnati because they got themselves a steal.
Well, I'm gonna look at pick 25 DP, and I think I said this on the last mock draft. The Dallas Cowboys getting Ollie Gordon, I think would just be a home run situation for them, just from a style perspective and what they're trying to get back to in their grassroots. I think it's gonna be a lot of back and forth with Dak Prescott, but I can see them ultimately paying him because they're like, what are our better options at this point, right? What else? Yeah. What else can we do? And they also have to pay CeeDee Lamb, they have to pay Michael Parsons, so they have to spend a lot of money this weekend. DP, but you keep scrolling up. No, I'm sorry, scrolling down. I want to go to the Baltimore Ravens with Emory Jones. I really like this pick because this is a guy I think can play some tackle, but you can also kick him down inside. He's a Baltimore Raven, right? Not just the Ravens selecting him. He's a Baltimore Raven type of football player where he's nasty. He's going to try to finish you. He plays with a physical temperament, a violent temperament as a football player. So I think it's just a home run pick. It would be a Baltimore Ravens-esque pick because probably Emory Jones should go a whole lot higher than this, and he's going to fit right into the mold of what they want to do.
100%. Derrick Henry in that backfield, Keaton Mitchell returning in that backfield from injury. Lamar Jackson, if you kick him down in the interior with Roger Rosengarten and with Ronnie Stanley at tackle, you push Emory Jones into one of those guard spots, flanking Tyler Lindenbaum. Yeah, we're about to move some people off the ball, guys. We're about to be real physical. We're going to be nasty, dirty. Come November, December, when this cold is ice out up there in Baltimore, you're going to have to put your strap your chin strap on, bring your lunch pail because it's going to be a very hard day at work if you're playing the Ravens, if you get a Emory Jones to help with that run game and to also help create real strong interior pockets for Lamar Jackson to consistently step up into, and hopefully they continue to add some more weapons at the receiver position for him as well. But Keith, I'll finish off pick 29. Detroit Lions getting Evan Stewart, a guy I compared to Jordan Addison, and I think you put him in this offense, it's electric, man, because this is a twitchy receiver that can move. He can, run good routes. He can press vertical. My only drawback is like, man, I would have loved to seen a big body, 6'2", 6'3", 215 X style receiver that can make plays at the catch point to really round out this receiving room. Because Jamison Williams is 5'11", 6 foot. Monroe St. Brown is 5'10", and everything. You got I think Khalif Raymond, I believe, is the other short wide receiver. It's a lot of height challenged receivers in this receiving room. I would like to see a big body guy, but adding Evan Stewart, just give Jared Goff more quick hitting options to make his job a lot easier.
Yep. I like this selection overall, right? Just with the comparison of him to Monroe St. Brown. And if they get another one of those guys, and then, like you say, you have Jameson Williams taking the top off, this is a well-rounded wide receiver core. Maybe they could have went size DP and maybe, bigger wide receiver. But if you don't feel like the big wide receiver is comparable to what Evan Stewart can offer, then you just don't go there. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of a mock draft Thursday, DP. I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day over here at the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, the #1 podcast talking about the NFL draft all the time. Listen, man, I'm Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to always say, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydays. On tomorrow's show, we are getting back into the scouting notebook, man. We're going to talk about that big monster in the middle for the Kentucky Wildcats, Deion Walker, Tez Johnson, the slot receiver from the Oregon Ducks, and one more receiver from the SEC. So we're going to talk about all those guys on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.